I'd like to welcome everybody to the Southbridge Town Council meeting, Monday, July 24th, 2023, 7 p.m. McKinnon Council Chambers. First agenda item, Pledge of Allegiance.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to agenda item number 2, roll call.
Councilor Adams, excused.
Excused.
Councilor Shenier.
Present.
Councilor Daniel.
Present.
Councilor Dow.
Present.
Councilor Lazo.
Present.
Councilor Marquetti is here. Councilor Montigny.
Present.
Councilor Ortiz.
Present.
Councilor Rivas.
Absent at this time. We have a quorum. Moving on to agenda item number 3, consider and accept the Town Council reorganization meeting minutes, Monday, July 10th, 2023. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Shania, second by Councilor Dow. And any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 4, consider and accept the Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, July 10th, 2023. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes of the meeting? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 5, vote to release the executive session minutes of January 30th, 2023.
So move.
We have a motion? Do we have a second by Councilor Dow? Any discussion? No discussion, all those in favor?
Mr. Chairman, I abstain. I wasn't part of
We
that
have-
discussion.
2 abstentions. Councilor Ortiz and Councilor Shenya. Moving on to subcommittee. Department of Public Works. At this time, I'll recognize Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. There was a meeting held on Wednesday, July 19th. Agenda items 11, 12, 29, 30, and 31 were covered. Also, there was discussion on various road projects in town, both current and in the coming future. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Moving on to Education and Human Services. Councilor Rivas, who is not here at this time. No report. Moving on to C, General Government. Councilor Montigny.
Thank you very much. We had a meeting last Monday. Now we're planning on having another one next Monday on July 31st. We have a few items from that meeting on the agenda tonight, including the cable contract. Thank you.
Moving on to D, Planning and Development. Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. There was a meeting held on Wednesday, July 19th. Agenda items 17, 18, 26, and 32 were covered. Discussion mostly centered on the right-of-way easement at East Main Street for access to and from the rail trail. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Moving on to protections of persons and property. Councilor Shenya.
Mr. Chairman, we had a meeting on July 18th, 6 p.m. in the Veterans Room. We had multiple agenda items of citizen members. We also had a grant announced by the police chief and a contract for motor vehicle towing and storage, and a generator maintenance agreement for the police department. All those were in favor, and we'll discuss that as the agenda item comes up.
Thank you, Councilor. Let the record show that Councilor Rivas is present, and I would like to just refer back, if I could, to Education and Services. Councilor Rivas, if you have a report at this time.
Yes, so we had a meeting on Monday of last week, and we have agenda items 13, 14, 21, 22, And I think that's it.
Thank you. Moving on to Chairman's announcements, item number 7. At this time, I'd just like to take a moment of silence in memory of Councilor Adams' dad passed away. He's not with us tonight. He's excused. He will rejoin committee tomorrow. I'd just like to take a moment of silence for Mr. Adams. Thank you very much. I have no announcements at this time. I would like to move on to item 8, Town Manager's announcements.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Town
Chairman.
Manager.
Thank you. I only have one announcement. It's a reminder from Recreation Director Michael Brunel that we will have a ribbon cutting event August 1st to celebrate the updates at the Henry Street Park and Capillo Park. It'll be from 4 to 6. And it's a reminder he also had that the Southbridge Police National Night Out event, which will begin at 6 p.m., will be held the same evening on the town common.
Thank you. Moving on to presentations. We have no presentations at this time. Moving on to Citizens Forum, agenda item number 10. Are there any citizens that would like to address the council on any issues that are not on the agenda tonight? There are none at this time. We'll move on to agenda item number 11. Vote to accept the appointment of William Cody to the Department of Public Works Subcommittee for a one-year term effective immediately through July 31st, 2024, pending completion of state ethics.
Mr. Chairman, can I, would I be in order to make an amendment, a motion for an amendment?
We have to have a motion by Councilor Adams first. Is there a second?
Council Dawes.
I'm sorry, Councilor Dow.
I'll second.
I got Mr. Adams on the mind. Councilor Dow had a motion, seconded by Councilor Montigny. At this time, I would recognize Councilor Chinya.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the following agenda items, number 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, to read the following. Vote to confirm the appointment of the particular person as a citizen member of the said subcommittee for a one-year term effective immediately through July 1st, 2024, pending completion of state ethics training. The only changes is adding the words "as a citizen member of the," and then adding the word "training" at the end of the appointment.
I'll second that.
There's a motion to second on adding as a citizen member before Mr. Cody's name. Correct, Mr. Chinya?
Correct. It would say, vote to approve the appointment of William Cody to the Department of Public Works as a citizen member, or whatever wordings you would prefer to have, but it's to say
Okay, got
a
it.
citizen member. If you look at the past, most recent one
Yep.
that I have is
I got it.
2021. Okay.
And you wanted to add training?
Because it just says state ethics. It doesn't say anything about state ethics what.
Okay,
So if you look back again, it says training.
okay.
I'm sure it's just a clerical.
We'll amend them individually.
Okay.
Right now, we have an amendment in front of us to add as citizen member after subcommittee and training after ethics. Is a motion second? Discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. The main motion has amended. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to number 12. Vote to approve the reappointment of Steve Lazo to the Department of Public Works Subcommittee for a one-year term effective immediately through July 31st, 2024, with ethics, state ethics in good standing.
So move.
There's a motion, second by Dow.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Again,
sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we add the following words, as a citizen member of, in the word state ethics training.
I second.
There's an amendment on the floor. Is there any discussion to the amendment? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to the main motion as amended. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to number 13. Vote to approve the appointment of Maria Torres to the Education and Services Subcommittee for a one-year term effective August 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2024, pending completion of state ethics.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Shin.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to amend the following to add the words "as a citizen member" in the word "training."
Second.
There's an amendment and a second. Discussion? If there's no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? In favor of the amendment? The main motion as amended? Do I hear any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present? Moving on to number 14, vote to approve the appointment of Gil Provost to the Education and Human Services Subcommittee for a one-year term effective August 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2024, pending completion of the state ethics.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr.
Councilor
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we amend and add the following: "as a citizen member of," and add the word "training."
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Dow. Any discussion on the amendment? No discussion on the amendment. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Main motion as amended. Discussion? If no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 15. Vote to approve the appointment of Denise Clements to the General Government Subcommittee for a one-year term effective August 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2024, pending completion of state ethics.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Councilor Shin.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the following and add the words "as a citizen member of," and add the word "training."
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Dow. Discussion on the amendment? No further discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Main motion as amended. No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 16, vote to approve the appointment of Steve Kelly to the General Government Subcommittee for a one-year term effective August 1st, 2023 through July 30th, 2024, pending completion of state ethics. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Councilor Dow. Motion made by Ortiz. Mr. Shin.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend and add the words "as a citizen member of," and add the word "training."
Second.
There's a motion second on an amendment. Discussion? No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to the main motion as amended. No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to agenda item number 17. Vote to approve the appointment of Catherine Bernadone to the Planning and Development Subcommittee for a one-year term effective immediately through July 31st, 2024, with state ethics in good standing.
So moved. Second.
Is the motion second? I don't think we need this amended because she is a sitting member who had already took her ethics, which is good for 2 years. So when you see the ethics in good standing, they just have to check that it's still in the realm of her term. So there's no amendment. Any discussion to the main motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Number 18, vote to approve the appointment of Dolores LaRochelle to the Planning and Development Subcommittee for a one-year term effective immediately through July 31st, 2024, pending completion of state ethics.
So move.
Second.
If you'd like to amend this, we would.
It's the same as she's just being reappointed.
Yeah, but I think her ethics is up. That's why it's
Okay.
printed this way.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we amend it to say "as a citizen member of," and add the words "at training" at the end of ethics.
So
Thank you.
second.
Motion second on the amendment. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to main motion as amended. No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Moving on to number 19. Vote to approve the reappointment of Derek Julian to the Protections of Persons and Property Subcommittee for the one-year term effective August 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2024. State ethics in good standing.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Shinya?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make an amendment to add the words "as a citizen member of" and add the word "training."
Second.
Motion is second on the amendment. Discussion? If none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous on the amendment. Main motion as amended. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to 20, vote to approve the appointment of Roland LaRochelle to the Protections of Persons and Property Subcommittee for a one-year term effective August 1st, 2023 through July 30th, 2024, pending completion of state ethics.
So move.
Second.
Motion second. Council Shinya?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the following: add the words "as a citizen member of" and add the word "training."
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion second on amendment. Discussion? Councilor?
I was just curious on the vote from the PPP subcommittee on the recommendation. Just curious.
Mr. Chairman, if you may, at the beginning of that you weren't here, and I reported that all agenda items related to the PPP subcommittee was approved.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 21. Vote to approve the town manager's appointment of Nick Daydahl to the Board of Health for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026. State ethics in good standing.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Council Shinya?
I'd like to make a motion to change the agenda to read, vote to approve the appointment of Nicholas Daytal to the Board of Health to replace Anthony Postel for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026. State ethics training in good standing.
Second.
There's an amendment on the floor to replace Mr. Postel, to add it after Board of Health. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? One opposed. Council Rivas opposed.
Okay.
That's on the amendment, on the main motion as amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Moving on to agenda item number 22, vote to approve the town manager's appointment of George Steves, known as Gus Steves, to the Board of Health for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026. State ethics in good standing.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
Mr. Chairman,
Council Shinya?
I'd like to make a motion to amend and replace with the following. Vote to approve the town manager's appointment of George Steves to the Board of Health to replace Nicole Duffy for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026. State ethics training in good standing.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on an amendment to ask to explain who they are replacing after the Board of Health. On the amendment?
I'm just curious as to why we have to put these seats specifically to who they're replacing, since there are 3 open seats. Well, I've never seen that done before, so I was just curious.
The thing is, there seems to be a confusion with some people on which position is being filled. And I know Councilor Shinya talked to me earlier, and he said the first person to resign, the letter came in, was Postel. Daydahl was the first person that applied. So it's a clarification of who he's replacing. Nicole Duffy was the second vacancy, and Gus Steves put his name in for that. So it's just clarifying which person resigned or left or was refused a renewal, and it just tells you which seat was which. We're going to have another resignation, which is going to be a different person. So there's like 3 in a very short period of time. I think it's just clarification.
I mean, that's
Go
actually,
ahead, Council Rivas.
that's actually inaccurate, because on our agenda, Nicole Duffy had submitted her paperwork for renewal, and Gus's name was also on the same agenda for a different seat that was vacated by someone else, and the town manager sent that resignation information earlier today to all of the councilors, and so I don't see the need to identify each vacancy, but if you are doing that, that is incorrect, because there were 3 names on the agenda, and there were 3 vacancies according to the paperwork that was submitted, and the town manager verified for us.
There was actually 2 vacancies. The third one came in on the 18th. There was confusion. I went to the office of the clerk, and she told me she didn't have it in. So we assumed that it was in. It wasn't in. Then it came in after the 18th, or on the 18th. So that's why it's not a cluster vote. It's the seat that the person left, the vacated for whatever reason, that is filled by a particular person. So it's not a group vote.
I
Are you
just
all
don't.
set, Council Rivas?
I just don't see why it has to, if there are 2 vacancies, then two names have been submitted, and there's still another seat according to it. So I just don't see why we need to put a name to the specific vacancy as a resignation. I don't see that as necessary.
Thank you. Councilor Shinya, then Town Manager.
Mr. Chair, through you, during the process of going to the meeting of the appointments of people to the Board of Health, the appointments were made. Gus Steve was approved, and Nicholas Daydahl was approved, and Ms. Duffy was denied. So after that meeting and those recommendations were made to subcommittee, a Board of Health meeting came about that was posted by Ms. Duffy. So I emailed the town manager, and the town manager told me basically in short that Ms. Duffy could stay on board as the chairperson until a position was filled and that person qualified. So we went to the Board of Health meeting, and I wanted to kind of ask that question, but the Board of Health meeting was shut down because there wasn't a quorum. So I then in turn felt and went to check, and somebody is qualified for a position in town once they sign in or sworn in downstairs with the town clerk's office, then that person becomes qualified. So to prevent what I felt was a continuation of somebody going on the board that either his term has expired or is not reappointed from still being on that board. That wasn't the intent, and I believe it still today is not the intent of what that position is. When the expiration date of June 30th or July 1st comes about, I believe it should end. But again, the town manager enlightened me saying that the appointment can stay on until somebody is appointed. And if it took 2 months, that person could still stay on. He told me that it was it lined up with our charter, and it also lined up with the state law. If I understood that correctly, Mr. Town Manager.
Are you all set?
Yes.
Because I have to go to Town Manager next.
Okay.
Town Manager?
Yes, Councilman, that is correct, Councilman Chin, although the person wouldn't necessarily stay as chair, in other words, but they would still hold a position on the Board of Health. So just to clarify, I was under the impression there were 3 openings, because I did recommend the appointment of Mr. Dado and Mr. Steves, but I had also recommended the reappointment of Ms. Duffy. And the reason I thought there were 3 openings was that I did receive an email from Paige Sudka, and then she followed up with a letter, which apparently didn't get here till the 18th. But nonetheless, my appointments were with the understanding that there were 3 openings. And so, I mean, I didn't point out who was getting which position, but I did have the 3 openings because I felt there were 3 positions.
Any further discussion to this,
Mr. Chairman?
council?
After further checking with the town clerk, if I may continue, the town clerk told me that no resignation is official until they actually have a paper copy in hand. And there was none at that point in time. And as we all know now, that paperwork was here on the 18th.
So technically, there was no 3 positions.
Correct.
There was a misunderstanding about the vacancy, although somebody resigned, much like Mr. Pascal. He said, I'm resigning, he leaves, and the clerk tells us it's no vacancy there until the letter comes to the clerk's office. So the same policy that the clerk read us about the Pascal resignation went for Paige also to resign. She resigned verbally, but never got to the clerk's office till on and around the 18th. So really, there were only 2 positions that were open. And it just, the way it fell, 2 people got appointed. Now, there's going to be another resignation, and there are people that have applied, and we're going to have to work on that going forward. Any further discussion? Councilor Montigny.
Thank you. We're still speaking to the amendment, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I would just like to thank Councilor Rivas for finding out this information this afternoon. She had it sent to us, that the letter was stamped by the clerk's office on July 18th, showing that at close of business after Education and Human Services meeting on Monday the 17th, there were only 2 positions open.
Correct.
Thank you for that.
Any further discussion to the amendment? All those in favor? Opposed? 2 opposed. Motion passes. The main motion as amended. Any discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? 2 against. 6 in favor. Motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 23. Vote to approve the town manager's appointment of Geraldo Gomez to the Cable TV Advisory Board for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026, pending completion of the state ethics.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to number 24. Vote to approve the town manager's appointment, David Madero, to the Cable Advisory Board for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026, pending completion of state ethics.
So move. Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, seconded by Montigny. Discussion?
Ortiz.
By Ortiz, second by
Must be an echo. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 25. Vote to approve the town manager's appointment of Javier Torres to the Cable Advisory Board for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026, pending completion of the state ethics.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. I'd just like to take a quick comment. It's nice to see people coming out to get on the Cable Advisory Board. It is a board that has been empty. I think there's one member, Denise Clements, and it's nice to see new blood. Nice to see people getting involved with the boards and commissions. No further discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 26. Vote to approve the town manager's appointment of Kevin Buxton to the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026. State ethics in good standing.
So moved. Second.
The motion is second. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 27. Vote to approve the town manager's reappointment of Amanda Richards to the Historical Commission for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026. State ethics in good standing.
So moved.
Second.
Is a motion a second? Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote present. Moving on to 28, vote to approve the town manager's appointment of Thomas Crow to the Historical Society for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2026, pending completion of state ethics.
So moved.
Second.
The motion and second?
Commission. Just correction, it's commission.
Historical Commission. Is the motion and second? Discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote present. Moving on. 29, vote to approve the town manager's appointment of Eric Rumsey as the deputy of DPW, effective immediately.
So moved.
Is a motion?
Second.
In a second, I would urge all councilors to vote no. He has received a job in the last minute. I think he's going to another town, so no would be improper, in line. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Moving on to 31. Excuse me, not 31, we're going to 30. Vote to approve the town manager's appointment of Peter Provencher as operations manager of the DPW, effective immediately.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Does he want to?
No.
He's here.
Go ahead, Councilor.
I just wanted to say, very happy when we can fill positions with a Southbridge person. I love all the people that work here, but there's something about having Southbridge blood that just makes it different. So thank you.
Any further discussion? If not,
Would you like to talk? He's here tonight.
let's have a motion first. We'll call him up if he passes.
All right.
Does anybody want to call him up to interview him?
Sure, I'd like to put him under the pressure.
Mr. Provencher, would you come up? Councilors would like to maybe ask a question or two? Absolutely. Any councilors have questions of Mr. Provencher? No questions, then all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote present. Would you like to say something to the council?
Yeah, I would. I want to thank you all for my vote and the support, along with my co-workers, friends, family. I appreciate it. I look forward to it. I'm going to go get it.
We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 31, vote to approve a change order for $179,000 to VHB's design contract for the TIP project 608778 to complete the right-of-way work on the TIP project 608778 and the TIP 608862 and require curb ramps for the TIP 608862 using funds raised at the May 23rd, 2022 council meeting for TIP construction phase and row acquisition costs Hook and Hamilton, and authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dow, seconded by Montague. Discussion. Councilor Senya, then Councilor Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, through you to maybe the town manager or anybody else, I thought there would be somebody here from VHB to discuss this a little bit. For me, I don't understand the project and what it's fulfilled. What I find disturbing is I read some of this material that was given to us, and some of this stuff goes back to like 2021, I think it was. And I really don't quite understand what this $179,000 is going to cover beyond the project that's already been approved, and it's like it's an add-on, and we keep getting these add-ons for engineering services and those kind of things. So I guess, what is it?
If I could, Council Chairman, through you.
Town manager.
Okay, so the town's current project with VHB for the TIP project, both of these TIP projects actually, is for $681,000 toward an estimated project cost of $7 million. Now, right from the very beginning, it was known that there would be some right-of-way acquisition costs, easements, and so forth. And there was an item was identified for that. For one of the first project meetings that I went to when I became interim town manager, that question came up, and at the time, I don't believe it was understood that the money had already been appropriated, and Ms. Dean was talking to us about the possibility of where we would get the money to do this. Some of the work that needs to be done initially by a legal firm has already been done by our own town council, KP Law. So the rest of it would be, we would either have to go out and get firms that are specialized in doing these right-of-way easements, drawing the agreements and so forth, or have them do it. They offered to do this. We looked at it and felt it was the best way to go. And so the money that we'd be adding to their contract is this 179,000. And as was mentioned in the article, this money has already been appropriated from free cash last year for this purpose. So it's not adding anything to the project. It's funding a portion of the project that needs to be done. We can't, take these things. There are several temporary and some permanent easements all along these roads with different properties because of, changes in curb cuts, changing in driveways, relocations of how far the road will go into the property. And then there's also right-of-way easements that'll have to be required for some permanent easements as well.
So with this project, this $179,000 already being appropriated, or this particular vote is to have a change order.
It's actually to have VHB do that work.
Right.
In other words, it wasn't initially in the contract. It is something that they're going to subcontract some firms that they'll work with the information that our town council has provided, along with information they have on what the actual right-of-way easements will be required to be, and have the work completed most expeditiously. The other point was that because this has been moved into the FY25 tip, we do have until next year, until next spring to get this done. And the idea is that this work should be done as close to the time as possible that the project is going out to bid so that we have current property owners there.
So I guess my misunderstanding on how it works, if the $179,000 has already been appropriated, why does it have to come back to council? Is it because it's a contract to be signed? And that council approves all contracts?
It is. Yeah, I mean, I have the same concern. I mean, I'm not used to having all these things come back to the council. I mean, generally, when you have a contract, you agree to a project, then the kind of things that move on from there generally handled by either the town manager or the DPW director. But regardless, this is not the way you do it, so that's why it's coming back here.
Thank you very much for your response.
Sure.
Council Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I'll be voting no on this tonight. When I look at this, I read through this whole packet of the TIP project by VHB, and my questions were, what will VHB provide? Well, they will be providing coordination between the town and the sub-consultants. The right-of-way and the appraisers will be done by the sub-consultants, not VHB, which will be billed directly to the town. The town will be responsible for coordinating with Mass DOT. So VHB is not doing the work. They are hiring sub-consultants to do the work. They are providing oversight. When will the construction begin? Well, according to this document that I read, the appraisal and the right-of-way work should be done as close as possible to construction, not bidding, construction, to ensure little to no change in property owners. When will this job begin? Summer of 2025. So we have 2 years before this work even begins. My own opinion, I think that this is the type of work that could definitely be done in-house. If we were ever going to hire an in-house engineer, now is the time to do it. The money could be used to hire, would cover an engineer's costs for 2 years even. I would like to make one further note. VHB also provide oversight on the Main Street project, and we all know how that turned out. Thank you.
Any further discussion by council?
Mr. Chair,
Council?
I'd like to say that the P&D committee, the DPW committee supported this 4-0.
Any further discussion? Council Rivas?
I just have a question to the town manager. So is this this is connected to the rail trail project in some way? The improvements there?
Well, and this is actually the downtown improvement project, which is Hook Street and that La Rochelle Lane and all that stuff. The connection portion of that would be where it interfaces. In other words, you know, the rail trail goes through here, but that is, you know, a separate project from this.
All set?
Yep, thank
Any
you.
other discussion by any other councilors? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Three? Three against? Yeah, 3 against, you get to what? 5 in favor. Motion passes. Moving on to number 32. Vote to approve entering in, vote to approve entering into an agreement with the Southbridge Association 2 LLC for the easement at East Main Street, parcel ID 045-011-00001, across from 515 Case Street to allow pedestrians and bicyclists access on and off the Quinnebog Valley Rail Trail, east of the Rotary, and to authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dow, seconded by, on taking discussion. Councilor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll also be voting for this one as well. I took a look at that project that they have designed, that the BSC group has designed on this. What it is, it's an off-ramp on the rail trail at the Case Street parking lot. So it would be bringing people with disabilities, kids and families on bikes, bringing them down the parking lot, and then they would be forced to cross Main Street, crisscross Main Street 3 times to get back over to the rail trail up by Dresser Park. So I think it's a poor design. I think it's very unsafe for them to make them go across Main Street. East Main Street can be a very treacherous, dangerous street. I've seen a lot of cars traveling through there at high speeds. I was sitting at Morris Street just the other day, and I saw a couple at the crossing light, the blinking cross lights there, push the button, and cars were not stopping. They were just going right through. So I think to have people come down off that ramp, to make it ADA compliant, and have them crisscross Main Street several times to get back on a rail trail, it's a poor design. It's very unsafe. And I also think it's cutting out a huge portion of that rail trail. And this is all because we can't afford to put a bridge over Morris Street and Main Street. And so my feeling is that if Mass DOT wants us to do this job right, then they should pony up the money to build a bridge over Morris and Main Street. And a lot of people, including some councilors up here, have told me they're glad to see the rail trail come in. And I'm not trying to derail it, but the reasons for wanting it is so they don't have to ride on the street. And here we are, we're making residents, kids on bicycle, people with disabilities go back on the street and crisscross back and forth on East Main at the Rotary and on regular Main Street. So I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Councilor Rivas, then Councilor Dow.
I mean, I can certainly respect that, but having been at the meeting on Thursday, and Peg Dean from Economic Development explained to us that this was studied, and they are going to widen the sidewalk so that there is some more safety. But these were discussions previously where a lot of those same suggestions were talked about, and the architects looked at them, and this was the best plan, while also going after some money for the bridge. But at the moment, we don't have that funding. And so I think that going through the process and creating this easement is the safest way to approach the project at this time. So I will be voting for this.
Council Dow.
Thank you, Chair, to you. I'm not against Councilor Marquetti, but we need to finish that trail. In the future, always we can ask the state for more money or improvement for the bridge. It is another project coming for East Main Street to, like Councilor Riva say, to widen the sidewalk, and it's gonna be a crosswalk, flashing light. I think it's important to go ahead and move forward with that project. It's been a long time sitting on the shelf, and we can always improve, but and denied. So I'm gonna support that tonight. Thank you.
Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. First, all, the P&D Subcommittee voted 4-0 to support this agenda item. And I agree with Councilor Marquetti to the extent that it would be nice for the state to support us in terms of getting us some more funding for the bridges. It took 5 years for us to get to where we are now, with the state supporting us to build the trail itself to begin with. We were told at subcommittee that it would take a few years at least for the state to come around through various negotiations and grant applications to come up with the money to support the building of the bridges. So if this were to be delayed this evening, then you're talking another quantity of years before we can get things going. And I just don't think that's acceptable. So I will be voting in favor of this evening. Thank you.
Councilor Shinnick.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I wasn't part of this discussion back in the day when it first started with the Rails Trail, but I was here in May. And in May, the presentation that was made, and I understood it as that a bridge was going to go over Morris Street and that it was going to dead end at the Rotary and exit across around the Rotary somewhere and go to Maple Street. Since then, I've heard through counselors and attending some meetings that it is going to be an easement. And what bothers me about this particular vote, and I wasn't here to listen to the argument to vote in favor of this, but I thought this easement was going to be as an access for emergency personnel and not an exit of people coming in and off the trail. I also was under the impression that this wouldn't kill the project. It would just make the project dead end on Main at the Rotary, and people would have to come off the trail somewhere and then go back on where the exit is going to be then. So it wasn't going to kill the project. The difficult part I have here is it's a vote for an easement, but there's no cost associated what easement is going to cost us as that easement or exit is built. I mean, I'm going to support this project. I'm going to vote yes for it, but I think as this thing moves forward, we need to have a better understanding on what this project or Rails Trail is actually all about, because we've had we needed more money when the building was bought on Main Street. We felt that we were under the gun that the Rail Trail wouldn't happen if we didn't buy that building. Now we're under the gun here to do an easement. This rail trail is also going to be going over the roads on Hamilton Street, the old former Hook Street, down to River Street, to Mill Street, to West Street. And we need to make sure that the design of this rail trail is going to be safe when it goes on, when people go on the roads. And I fully agree with Councilor Marquetti about the safety of this. But we need to stress the importance to Ms. Dean that we want this project to be safe on the roadways. But I will support it tonight.
Any discussion by any other councils? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? 5-3. Motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 33, vote to accept the Stanton Foundation grant in the amount of $32,000 to enable the police department to establish a K-9 unit and to cover the costs associated to such program, and authorize the town manager to sign any related documentation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Motion and second? I'd like to turn it over to the chief.
This was favorably reported by the PPP subcommittee.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the council, and Mr. Town Manager. So I explained this in great detail to PPP, as you know. I'll just kind of gloss over it quickly for the councils that were not there. The canine that we'd be seeking would be a Belgian Malinois. It's a dual-purpose dog for patrol and narcotics. The need for a dual-purpose dog in our community is extremely important because of the levels of calls that we have that involve violence and the amount of narcotics trafficking that we have in distribution in our community. The dog's going to have an incredible working ability, apprehension, detection, search and rescue. It's going to be able to cover, miles and miles of areas looking for, an example, children in the woods, much better than any police officer could do. But one of the biggest things for me, and the reason why I'm such a supporter of this, or I wouldn't be here if I didn't think this was going to be an incredible asset for the community, is this a canine with this type of workability. A patrol dog is a force multiplier. We have historically had low staffing in our department. It's no fault of the council or the town. We've done everything we can to address our issues, but we have police officers that go to other agencies. It takes a year to hire and train. A canine is essentially another police officer, and in some cases, it can do the work of two. Again, force multiplier, very important to me. When that animal rolls up on a scene, a chaotic scene that many of you have probably never seen, I have, when there's violence and there's things that when people are home sleeping at night that are happening that we have to do to maintain order in the community, this is a tremendous tool to have that could save one of our officers from getting hurt or more seriously, even injured or killed. So it's a great thing. Again, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think we'd have an asset for the next 8 or 10 years. The grant is covering most of the cost. We've got cruisers in our fleet that we're just going to transition over from our previous K-9 handler to go into the newer cruiser, so there's no real setup costs, and the grant covers food and things like that for the first couple of years, but I would not be coming to the council and asking for any more money or anything like that in the future budget. So that you have my word on. I think we need the animal in the community. I think it'd be great for the community. We have a handler that we have in mind that has given us a commitment, and again, I spoke for a long time at the PPP about it. If anybody has questions, please ask me, call my cell phone, come see me at the station. And I'll be happy to elaborate further on it.
Any questions by any councilors? If there are no questions, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda number 34, vote to approve the contract for the police department and storage of motor vehicles on an as-needed basis, effective July 25th, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2026, unless terminated earlier, in accordance with the terms of the contract, and authorize the town manager to sign all related documentation.
So moved.
Second.
The motion second, Councilor Shinya.
This agenda item was voted in favor of.
Chief?
Again, Mr. Chair, this is very quickly, we put out a bid for a towing contract per the town bylaw. We do it every 3 years. Sid was the only one that completed all the documents, which I was satisfied with because he's towed for us for more than 20 years. We've had 0 issues. I highly recommend that we keep him in the rotation as our towing operator.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself from this agenda item.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilor,
Could I make an amendment to this? I'd like to make an amendment that we add, vote to approve the agreement between the town of Southbridge Police Department and Sid's Auto Body, according to the rate for towing and storage. So I'm just adding Sid's Auto Body.
is there an amendment on the floor? Do I hear a second?
Second.
The motion and second on the amendment to add Sid's Auto Body as the vendor. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, all those in favor of, I'm sorry.
I just didn't hear, Councilor Marquetti. What was the reason
We're just
to add
adding Sid's Auto Body since they are the vendor on the contract.
Okay, thank you.
No further discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
main
The main motion as amended. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 35, vote to approve the contract for the police department and power-up generator for a 1 year of scheduled emergency generator system maintenance effective for a period of 12 months.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, on the previous vote, could you put down that I recused myself from that vote,
Yes.
please?
The minute you recuse yourself publicly, they'll pull it off of the tape.
Okay.
Where was I? Oh, for $795 per year from and after the date, if approved by council, unless terminated earlier in accordance with the terms of the contract, and authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion? Got a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
This was approved by the subcommittee.
Favorable by PPP. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 36, vote to approve the proposed plan for Dave's Pest Control to provide quarterly rodent services at the community center for $550 for the year and unlimited free callbacks, and authorize town manager to sign related documentation.
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Councilor Rivas?
This was also favorably recommended at EHS.
Recommendation is favorable. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, on this particular item, I was contacted by some of the residents out there, and they were concerned that there was an infestation of mice and rats in the senior center. And I just want to assure them that this is not an infestation, that it's a maintenance issue for the place. They have food in there, Meals on Wheels there, and they have a kitchen that is used by people, and this is a maintenance issue, not an infestation.
Any further discussion? Not all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 37. Vote to approve and renew the license agreement with Spectrum and authorize the town manager to sign all and any related documents.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Discussion? Council?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this went through, and after a lot of hard work from a lot of different people over the last couple of years. Thank you.
Recommendation is favorable by General Gov. Councilor Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be voting no on this as well. I know it's probably just a protest vote, but I really don't care for Charter's service to my household. Every time we have a problem, it takes quite a lot to try and get them to resolve the issue. Whenever they want to raise their rates, they just raise it. They don't contact me. I don't get a lot for what I'm paying for. I can't even pick what I want to pay for it, so I guess consider it a protest vote, but I'm not happy with Charter, and I'm not going to vote in favor of this. Thank you.
Any further discussion by any other councilors? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? One opposed. Motion passes. Moving on to 38. Vote to rescind the action of the town council meeting of April 24th, 2024, item number 18, which reads as follows. Vote to approve $50,000 in ARPA funds to pay for a study of the town positions, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator, and that such funds will revert back to the town ARPA funds if redistribution.
For redistribution.
Redistribution, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Senior.
back at the last council meeting, I gave notice to the council that I was going to put this motion on to rescind as a notice under Robert's Rules and Order. It didn't require a notice, but to get it on as an agenda item to require just a minimum of 5 votes versus a majority of 6, I wanted to give notice. I'm opposed to this. The reason I put this on there, I'm opposed to this study. As I said before, approximately 5 or 6 years ago, the town had a salary and town position study, and it sat on the shelves. All during the last couple years, HR would come to this council and bring forward a name, and she always stated that our salary structure was in line, but some of our benefits weren't. And one of the big benefit changes that the council did to get qualified and better people to come work for the community was changing the insurance, in which that was done. So she assured us throughout the year that we were in line with other communities and other towns for benefits and salary. There were some adjustments made by council, the Schedule 1 and 5, I believe it was, and some of the changes that were done through the manager's reorganization. So I also suggested that they utilize Massachusetts Municipal Association and further research of that organization. There's a human resources section that the town, I'm not sure if I'm a member of, but for me as a counselor, I wasn't able to be part of that. But it did have a section that dealt with salary and benefits throughout the community. I felt that it was an issue that we would just spend $50,000 for, or up to $50,000 for, and that $50,000 would be better served somewhere else. So that's why I'm asking for council's support tonight to rescind the action of town council meeting of April 24th on agenda item number 18. Thank you.
Do any councilors? Council Montague?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to make that say April 24th, 2023.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
I didn't catch that.
There's a motion on the floor to amend 24 to 23. Discussion on the amendment? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? We've changed it to 23, 2023. Any councilors on the main motion as amended? If not, did you have a hand up?
I did, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Just to answer a couple of Councilor Cheney's comments there. We are members of the MMA HR group. The HR director is. The survey that they have in there is open to all communities, but unfortunately a lot of communities don't update it. And so I have tried to use it in previous positions, and there's not really good current information. As far as the last study the town did, I believe it was in 2016. It was done mostly internally, and it wasn't with every position. I mean, since then, we've added new positions. We've added the HR director. We've added an IT person. We've made some changes and other things. So that was why I recommended that we do this study. One of the first things that came up to me during the budget process was a department here and there coming in and saying, well, I need this. We need more money. I don't think we have, proper benefits. And I felt the best way for the town to address it was to do a comprehensive compensation and classification study. Now, the $50,000 was a number that is obviously a high number, and we actually did go out with an RFP for this. We received 2 responses. One was from GovHR out of Northbrook, Illinois. The other one was from Don Jacobs Consulting Group. He's been doing a lot of this work for several years on wage and classification studies. And the full service price proposal from Jacobs was $30,000, but at the time he proposed it was with an alternate price of $18,000 if we used our own staff to do the actual survey work. In other words, he would identify and we would agree what the peer communities are that we would like to use, and then he would provide the documentation that needs to be sent out. Nor agreed that she would have the time and the ability to do that. And so if we were to go ahead with this, the actual price on this would be $18,000, not $50,000. $38,000 would be returned, to the ARPA funds. And I do believe the town needs this study, and I think that this would be a good competitive price to do it with. I brought this up with Chairman Laszlo and Vice Chairman Marchetti, and I believe the decision was to move this on to the subcommittee to be reviewed. So I guess that's what the status is.
Yeah, we thought, bring it forward to the council. I spent a good many years on school committee, and we always did it in-house. And that's why it's kind of frustrating thinking that we can't do it in-house, but we don't know that. And I think we're going to be going under a reorganization with the new town manager as far as how we operate out of HR, how we operate in some of the other departments. So, yeah, it's something that if you're into a study, you do the study. It'll become a document. I don't know if it's going to be used, but, usually it comes down to the budget. Is the money there for the increases or the redesign? And if it's not, then the study stays on the shelf till we get it. That's the problem that I'm having with it. Councilor Marquetti?
I just wanted some clarification from the town manager. He said that he talked to some department heads, and they said, we need this, and we need that, and we need more benefits. Is that what you're saying?
Well, when I first went through the departments, there was some that felt that they needed to have adjustments,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
That's not across the board. It wasn't overwhelming, but it did bring me to the point that rather than, take one case and another case and evaluate it, the right thing to do is to get an updated wage and classification study. One of the big things that you're looking for a consultant like this to do is have the skill set to go through an actual classification program with at least 10 or more items that every position is reviewed over. And having that consistency and having the ability to know that this classification study, whether it becomes a classification 22 or 10, whatever level it is, it's accurate as far as the different responsibilities and requirements of each position, and then also to make sure that it's a proper adjustment of wages within the whole range. So you do need somebody that is, I believe, a professional in doing these types of studies and classification plans. The part of it where we actually collect the salary data and verify that these positions actually do have the same responsibilities, I believe can be done inside, and that's an important part of it that's saving us a significant amount of money what the cost would be.
Councilor Shinya, then Councilor Dow.
Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't be opposed so much to send this back to subcommittee, the General Government Subcommittee, to look at the actual document that Mr. Jacobs is talking about, or and maybe the town manager better serve us. So I wouldn't be opposed to do that as long as the final version of this thing, whether it be for or against, comes back to council and that we do this soon. So I wouldn't be opposed if somebody made that motion to send it back to subcommittee.
Councilor Dow.
Chair, with your permission, Councilor Riva first.
Councilor Rivas, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Dow. I'm encouraged by the town manager telling us that it would be less than 50,000. I did think that was a pretty high price tag, but in light of all of the resignations and in light of that we want to retain people that we have employed that are qualified, and having someone, again, a professional, do this study and create a classification for the different positions, I think is the right way to do it, so that it creates fairness all the way around. Again, it is a classification that is done with a study. If we can do that for 18,000, that seems like a bargain to me. It is upon us to utilize it instead of putting it on a shelf. That's sort of, that's on us. If we didn't use the classification and the study that we had done in 2016, which seems like a lifetime ago, that's sort of on us in the town for not using it. But I do think, again, if we had a robust personnel, I might agree with Councilor Marquetti, but we don't. We have a lot of people resigning, and we want to make sure that we are competitive and we can attract qualified people and retain the people that we have that are doing a great job, and making sure that those people are getting the raises accordingly, right? And a classification gives us that information. So,
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair, through you. Again, 2016 was study put on a shelf. Last couple of years, we have a lot of lack of people working in the town, doing their own decision, paying their own money. I don't want to go specific. I don't think they was qualified to hire or to be one of the head department to do decision on certain thing. The only thing was doing is just asking for money to study, money for different item we don't need in town. I think 18,000 or 10,000 or 5,000, we have a lot of residents in town deserve more that money. And I think the town never have any issue for paying the employee the right amount. We can always call around. We can always make study inside home if they really doesn't, if we're doing our job correctly, not being too busy chatting or concerned about different things, doesn't belong to the town business. Thank you, Chair, through you.
Council Marquetti?
Council Shannon, did you have to, okay.
No, you got it, yeah.
So what the proposal from one of these other consultants is that we would let the town employees do their own survey of each other? Is that what the town manager
No,
said?
I don't understand. What was that again?
Well, did you say that there was a reduced rate if we let the town employees do their own
No.
survey?
No.
No?
No, what I
Okay.
said is that a component of this is reaching out to other comparable communities with the exact position so that we have, for example, an economic development director who has certain responsibilities. You'd want to compare in another community that has that level of responsibility.
Okay.
The same thing with DPW, make sure they have the same size departments. So the work to actually go out and send these surveys out and bring them back and then put them all in charts and review them and come up with the range of salaries for these and benefits for these various positions would be done internally. So in other words, that component, and I did give, we had a pretty detailed proposal from Mr. Jacobs, and it did, break that down, and that component would be handled inside. So the work that he would have to do for the rest of the work, for actually doing the classification study to actually rate each position for its various, responsibilities and risks to the town and benefit to the town and so forth, he would still do all that. The component we would have would be to give him current, accurate information from peer communities that would show the communities that we need to compete with.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, I'd just like to remind the council, a vote yes on this is to rescind this action and reverse it and send it back. The money would end up back in ARPA. A no vote is to maintain it in place. Does everybody understand that?
No, yes.
All those in favor? Opposed? 2 opposed. It's rescinded. Moving on to Council's Forum, number 39. Councilor Rivas?
So I wanted to give a lot of props to Cops and Kids for their event on Thursday. I was able to stop in for a few moments and just see the continuation of all of the work that the chief and deputy chief, the chief is not here anymore, the deputy chief and all of their officers have done with this program over the years, thinking about how well we partnered when I was in the school system and how the program has grown to what it is today is amazing to see. So many students, that I had are now junior counselors in Cops and Kids. Some of them are police officers now. So it is an amazing program, and it was great to see, even just for a few moments, that I was able to participate and stop in and see them. I also want to remind everyone, Scoops of Hope is going to have, they actually opened this past weekend. They have a ribbon cutting on Wednesday afternoon, and I'm really excited. Hopefully I can make it to the ribbon cutting. And I'm not sure if they have dairy-free offerings, but I hope they do. I'm not able to eat ice cream, so. And I also want to remind everyone, I think the town manager mentioned it earlier, National Night Out. It is an event that's put on across the country by different police departments. I've participated before as part of the DA's office, and we're often there. I'll be there on August 1st, hopefully registering people to vote for future elections, and talking to community members to see if they want to join us and participate and help us in future elections. We're always thinking about getting involved. We still have boards that don't have any people on them, so I'll have that information as well. And I think that same day we have a ribbon cutting for Henry Street in the afternoon at 4 o'clock. And the Recreation Committee or the Recreation Director will be showcasing sort of the updates to Henry Street. Long overdue. I know the community, the neighborhood, people in that neighborhood are really excited about all of the improvements. And I'm anxious to see the work that's been done. So, thank you.
Councilor Dow?
Thank you, Chair, through you. First, I want to say from me and my family to Councilor Adam and his family, we're so sorry for his loss. If I can do anything, you know. Second, I want to congratulate all the people. The citizen member today was appointed. It's very excited to see all these people coming forward. Like Councilor Riva say, people come in, get involved in town. You want to see changes, get involved, make the right decision. That's the only way you can change town. Thank you.
Councilor Shinton?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. First off, I'd like to send out an invitation to the seniors in this community for a coffee and conversation fire safety presented by the Southbridge Fire Safety Coordinator, Patrick Normandin. It's going to be held August 7th at 10 a.m. at the Casabon Senior Center. And if you'd like to go, please contact Katie at 764-1469. Also tomorrow, I believe it's the Salt Council is going to put on an ice cream social starting at 12 o'clock at the Senior Center for the seniors. And you're welcome to go. Tri-Valley presents a Build Your Own Hot Dog Day on Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023 for the seniors at the Casabon Senior Center. It's $5 per person, and you need to make a reservation by August 15th. And again, you can call Katie at 764-1469. I also want to thank Chief Woodson for inviting me over to the Cops for Kids program. I was impressed that day when I went there. I was impressed with the fact that we have young people in our communities that's there and presented themselves well. They were respectful to us. I even was, to much my surprise, I had one of the youths ask me if I wanted a chair. Must have saw that I was having some difficulty in the heat. But it was a great program. There was over 100 kids that were served hamburgers and hot dogs. So I commend Chief Woodson and his staff for the excellent job that you do with the Cops and Kids program. Again, my family, for myself and my family, our deepest condolences to Councilor Adams in the loss of his father, and our prayers are with you. Mr. Chairman, the last thing I have tonight. Mr. Chairman, councilors, over the last few years, the town of Southbridge has embarked on improving some of the major roads in our community. Roads such as South Street, West Street, and the core district of Main Street. These improvements included full-depth reclamation of the roads and utility upgrades. This reclamation included the area of Main Street from South Street to just past Everett Street. During the final paving, some questionable practices took place, such as a cold rolled paving in some areas and inaccessible water shutoffs. All during this time, councilors asked questions such as who was overseeing the town's interest and was assured that engineers that the town hired were overseeing the project. After months of negotiation, the former town manager reported that he negotiated the best deal possible for our community and suggested that we accept the deal. We since know that this wasn't such a great negotiations. Some of us were under the impression that paving was going to take place curb to curb in some areas and that a proper repair of the structures would take place as the repaving happened. I was told under the original contract, these structures would have been encased in concrete and the concrete would have been allowed to cure. My understanding that this process prevents the structures from sinking. During the repair, I observed these structures being jackhammered out to remove the concrete and reinstalled, but did not see concrete being used to secure the structures. It is important that this is done properly to prevent sinking of the structures and to maintain a smooth surface. In the few weeks since the repairs were made, you can travel down Main Street and find structures are now sinking and making a depression in the roadway. Mr. Chairman, the time has come for the town to take action against this shoddy work. We have a responsibility to the community to make sure that we get what we pay for. We cannot accept the results of poor workmanship. Mr. Chairman, I would like to suggest that you request that this matter be sent to the DPW subcommittee and that legal counsel be contacted on a course of action that this town could take to resolve this issue as soon as possible. Thank you.
Duly noted. Point well made. Council Montigny.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to say my heart and thoughts are with Councilor Adams and his family right now. I did want to thank the chief for inviting me to the Cops and Kids cookout last week. It was awesome. I went to National Night Out last year. That was awesome. I won't be able to make it this year. But, you know, now I've seen the drone truck and I've seen the helicopter, so I think I got a pretty good handle on what's going on over there. But Councilor Shenier, thank you for bringing that up. I couldn't agree more. That was well said. Thank you.
Councilor Ortiz.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Over the discussion of the rail trail, I heard, at least I think I got a sense, that the council is looking for some information on the trail. I think just a little background on it and a little catch-up, as it were. So I'll be contacting Ms. Dean, and I'll sit down with her and put together a little presentation or some background information just on where we've been, where we are, where we're going, and get us all up to speed on what's happening and what the potentialities are for the near and far future. My condolences go out to Councilor Adams. I consider him to be a personal friend. I know that his family is paramount to him more than anything, and I know that he's having a hard time with this right now, and I wish him and his family all the best. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Daniels. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. First of all, I'd like to say that it's good to see a lot of the residents that came out and have applied to serve on various committees. I encourage others to step up and put their names in as well. And if you didn't make it on one committee, please try again on another committee, because there are plenty of committees that we need residents to serve on. I also want to say that I attended the water and sewer rate hearing this last week, and I really was not too pleased with the fact that the rates are going up. I was there with Mr. Larochelle, and he spoke pretty well about the rate increases and how, because the budget was not that high, that he felt that this could have been probably absorbed into the budget and we wouldn't have had to have any rate increases at all. I also spoke about all the surplus money we've had this year from the water department, and the fact that the sewer department just can't even spend all the money that they have. So I did contemplate making a motion tonight to put it back on the agenda. Excuse me. But the council chair's wishes are that all of these things go back to subcommittee, and I'm going to honor that request. And so I would ask that this issue go on the next general government subcommittee, if you don't mind. I'd appreciate that. And finally, I would just like to offer my condolences to Councilor Adams and his family. And that's it. Our next meeting is August 7th here in the council chambers. Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 40, vote to enter into executive section, A, pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining session or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. And B, pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, 21A1 to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of the individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of, or complaint or charges brought against a public official, employee, staff member, or individual. The individual to be discussed in the executive session shall be notified in writing by the public body and at least 48 hours prior to the proposed executive session, provided however, that notification may be waived upon written agreement of the parties. A public body shall hold an open session if the individual involved requests that, and session will be open.
So move.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Discussion, no discussion. All those in favor to go, roll call. Let's do a roll call on going into executive session.
Okay. Counselor
Daniels?
Oh, all right, you go ahead.
I'm sorry. You're going to be a gentleman about it, let you. Adams, not here. Shinya?
Yes.
Daniels?
Yes.
Dow? Yes. Lazo, yes. Marquetti?
Yes.
Montigny?
Yes.
Ortiz?
Yes.
Rivas? 8 total. We will enter into executive session. Thank you very much.